Soviet hijackers get a chilly welcome in Israel. The shuttle Atlantis up and away on its not-so-secret mission. And Bush and Dukakis, a friendly get-together.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It certainly is a different Soviet Union these days, with several republics in revolt, Gorbachev pushing a form of democracy and free enterprise, and now a hijacking that didn't end with a shootout. 5 armed Soviet hijackers started their bizarre odyssey yesterday. Tonight, they're in custody in Israel. And NBC's Fred Briggs is there.
The end of a remarkable hijacking, remarkable for where it began and ended. It began yesterday in a town in the southern Soviet Union when 4 men and a woman commandeered a bus with 30 children and a teacher aboard. They demanded a plane from the Soviet government and took off from a nearby city once they agreed to release the teacher and the children. The hijackers initially said they wanted to be flown to Israel, South Africa, or Pakistan, but Israel was already getting control tower transmissions this afternoon indicating it was the destination.
38000. Welcome to Israel. What is the purpose of your coming to Israel?
We are forced to land at your aerodrome.
For Israel, a nation that has been both victim and target of hijackings over the years, letting a hijacked plane land on its own soil posed somewhat of a moral dilemma.
The military led the plane to a runway more than a mile from the terminal, and then the bargaining began.
Negotiations are underway currently in a calm atmosphere.
And the hijackers gave themselves up calmly, much to the surprise of authorities who discovered the Soviets had also given the hijackers more than $3 million in rubles.
I must admit that I can't understand how they could manage to leave the Soviet Union without the Soviet authorities doing anything to prevent it.
A Soviet press official said it was done to save the children. Tonight, Soviet television mentioned the incident on the evening news, although nothing was said about the plane going to Israel. And the hijackers apparently weren't Soviet Jews seeking asylum. They were criminals.
The plane and those who violated the Russian law will be returned to the Soviet authorities,
who are not likely to treat the hijackers kindly. Fred Briggs, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
There was another hijacking in the Soviet Union earlier this year in March, and that time 9 people were killed when Soviet troops stormed the plane. By the way, it's not clear what these hijackers expected to get for their $3 million in rubles, since rubles are good only in the Soviet Union. And the United States military should know a good deal more about what goes on in the Soviet Union as a result of today's successful launch of the space shuttle Atlantis. Officially, it's classified, of course, but as NBC's Robert Bazell reports, this mission is well known.
11, 10, we have a go for main engine start. 7, 6, we have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition and liftoff. Atlantis begins another space voyage as it clears the tower.
The path of the shuttle was supposed to be a secret. A few seconds after launch, the shuttle rolled to head in a northeasterly direction, putting it into an orbit which will cover much of the Soviet Union. It was a clear, cool day in Central Florida, permitting a spectacular view of the separation of the solid fuel booster rockets. It has been widely reported that on this secret mission, the astronauts will launch a satellite which uses a new type of radar imaging to spy on the Soviet Union and other countries. On the second day of the mission, the astronauts will release the 20-ton satellite, its huge antennas folded. Once deployed, the satellite, with its radar antenna, will stretch 150 feet across, half the length of a football field. Experts say the new radar is a major advance.
Well, there's several things that you can do with an imaging radar satellite that you can't do with a conventional photographic reconnaissance satellite. Obviously, one of them is see in the dark and see through clouds. Another possibility is that you'll be able to detect moving targets such as tanks or aircraft with it.
Here is what radar imaging looks like. These are unclassified images of Mount Shasta in California taken through clouds. Radar imaging allows for three-dimensional reconstructions, which are useful for reconnaissance. Sources say that if the satellite launch goes well, Atlantis will land Monday morning at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Robert Vizell, NBC News, Cape Canaveral.
Also coming up here tonight on NBC Nightly News, Rick Davis with a spotlight report on terrifying evidence of how Iraq used poisonous gas against these people, Kurds, Iraqi citizens at war with their government. And Keith Morrison tonight with Assignment America, the story of a band of young losers who, in their own way, became winners.
Wow.
What you eating, babe?
Nothing, honey.
Oh, you can tell me.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
Looks good, Private. What is it?
Nothing, honey. Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
When you've got the special taste of nuts and honey all wrapped up in a hearty crunch, what more can you say? Here's what. New Nut and Honey Crunch Biscuits. Crunchy biscuits of wholesome shredded wheat with that special nut and honey taste inside.
Wow.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey.
Now in biscuits, too.
Crunch. Now Minolta gives you more, gets you closer than before. Freedom Telly is your best move. Your best move. Closer close-ups, wider wides. Get 6 aliens side by side.
Only Minolta's Freedom Telly gives you not 1, but 5 autofocus beams for perfect focus when moonwalking.
Freedom Telly is your best move. Your best move.
Freedom cameras.
Only from the mind of Minolta.
Now it's official. The UN General Assembly is making a quick trip to Geneva so it can hear a speech by PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat. Arafat was denied a U.S. visa to speak in New York. The vote in favor of the Geneva meeting was 154-2. The no votes were cast by the United States and Israel. Britain abstained. The motion calls for the Geneva session to be held December 13th through the 15th. Michael Dukakis visited Washington today for the first time since the presidential election and conceded that he wished he were there in another capacity. He came to call on the man who is in that other capacity, President-elect George Bush. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has more tonight.
The meeting was supposed to heal the wounds of one of the nastiest campaigns in recent memory. As the winner, George Bush played the role of gracious host.
It's been most pleasant, and I am very grateful to him for the spirit of this visit.
Mr. Vice President, what about all those terrible things you said about him during the campaign?
You must have missed what I just said about where we stand right now.
Do I look better? I feel pretty good, actually.
But some things are hard to forget, such as some of the campaign literature.
Friends, this is garbage.
And the labels.
My opponent's views on defense are the standard litany of the liberal left.
So when asked today about Bush's budget problems, Dukakis didn't let the winner off the hook.
We've had 8 years of endless borrowing and spending, and the chickens are coming home to roost.
He then left in the back seat of a rented car, another reminder of who won. Not that Dukakis could forget. Everywhere he went, he was asked about losing.
I'd prefer to have won, to tell you the truth.
I'm disappointed. Anyone would be after going through 20 months. I don't like losing. Senator Benson doesn't like losing, but we know that only one ticket can win.
During his meeting with Bush, Dukakis argued against cuts in Medicare and other social programs. There was no sign the two men agreed any more than they had during the campaign. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the White House.
Low unemployment was certainly a factor in this election in behalf of Bush, and today the government reported that last month the jobless rate rose just 0.1 of a point to 5.4%, but because of the increasing size of the workforce, the nation actually gained almost 500,000 new payroll jobs. And the percentage of working American adults topped 62%. That's the highest since the government began keeping these records.
I love them dearly, but I love them 25% less than I used to.
I can't tell you how much I love these guys, but I can tell you it's 25% less than before.
Love your family 25% less with Fleischmann's Light. 25% less saturated fat, salt, and calories than regular margarine. 0 cholesterol and 100% delicious.
I love him with all my heart, but today that's 25% less.
Fleischmann's Light. Love your family 25% less.
You're the one they depend on to see it through. In this world it it all counts and they're counting on you. Show that world some style. You've been waiting for this time to come, and you know that time is here. You're living in real time. Seco time. Living in real time. Seco time. Living in real time.
Are you okay, Dad?
Sure, doctor said it's heartburn.
Heartburn and high blood pressure. He wants him to cut out salt. Well, you better do it. He will. Don't worry.
If you're one of millions of heartburn sufferers and also have to cut out salt, cut it out of your antacid, too. Riapan Plus 2 is sodium-free, and it starts neutralizing stomach acid in 10 seconds.
Dessert?
Well, you're sure feeling better, Dad.
For heartburn and indigestion, Riapan Plus 2, sodium-free, and it works fast.
He's one of the best-known journalists in South Africa, Swalhaki Sisulu. And tonight, he's out of jail, but not yet quite free. He was detained for 2 years without charge under South Africa's state of emergency laws. Now he must report to the police twice a day. He's also banned from returning to his job as editor of an anti-apartheid newspaper. He's also banned from talking to other members of the press. The face of Pakistan's government tonight, Benazir Bhutto, the first woman to head a Muslim government, prompting many to wonder just how long she can last. She was sworn in as prime minister today by the same president who swore in her father as prime minister 15 years ago. Benazir Bhutto noted how quickly Pakistan's history had moved. Her father was overthrown and ordered hanged by General Zia, who ruled until he was killed in a plane crash last August. One of her first acts as prime minister was to lift a ban on trade unions. The 35-year-old Bhutto said her message was one of hope, peace, liberty, and progress.
And I just want...
And on Spotlight tonight, poison gas, a new use of this hideous old killer. Iraq was accused of using it in its war with Iran. With that war now over, Iraq has another target, rebels in its own population, the Kurds. They live in the mountains of northern Iraq and in Iran and in Turkey. The Kurds of Iraq fought against their own country in the Gulf War. Now they're paying. NBC's Rick Davis with compelling evidence that the Kurds are being gassed.
For months, the Kurdish people of Iraq have been fleeing from their mountain villages, going east to Iran, north to Turkey. The Kurds claim the Iraqi Air Force and Army have pursued them, killing them as they fled. Some sought safety in caves along the way, but there was no safety here. Eyewitnesses say this group never made it out of the caves, that within 3 days after these amateur pictures were taken, an Iraqi poison gas attack killed thousands.
Adults fell, children fell, and all the trees in Bassi Gorge dried up. We were scared of going to help the injured. Their noses were bleeding and their eyes watering, and they were screaming.
In crowded refugee camps in Iran, each person has a story.
The airplane arrived and dropped bombs on us, and people died. People who smelled the bomb fell on their backs and died.
Women tell of husbands and sons taken away by the Iraqi army and never seen again. The Kurds expected Iraqi revenge after the war between Iraq and Iran ended. Kurds, with Iran's help, conducted a guerrilla war inside Iraq, tying down some of the Iraqi army. It was part of the Kurds' long struggle for independence. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein vowed vengeance. But Iraq denies using poison gas.
Iraq is not using chemical weapons, neither against the Kurds nor against anybody.
But diplomatic sources in Iran and Iraq believe this is an actual Iraqi poison gas attack. It is Iranian army videotape. In March, the Kurdish village Halabja, just across the border from Iran, was hit by what chemical war experts believe was nerve and mustard gas. The Kurds say 5,000 people died. One man cried, "Everyone is dead. I haven't anyone left." A British documentary filmmaker looking for evidence of chemical warfare went into Iraqi Kurdistan with guerrillas. He took samples of the earth and metal fragments in an area the Kurds say was hit by chemical weapons. The samples were analyzed at a laboratory in England. These chemical traces were found.
1,4-dithiene, 1,4-oxathiene, and ethene-1,1-thiobis. These are three chemicals that are produced when mustard gas is heated, much like what you would get when a mustard gas shell explodes. So they provide a unique fingerprint to implicate mustard gas as the source.
In the Kurdish refugee camps in Turkey, children remember attacks on their villages. Memories sketched on drawing pads.
There are airplanes dropping bombs. Beside are children with legs chopped off by bombs. Blood is coming out of them. Others are animals being killed. The other is a tank and soldiers coming. There were airplanes dropping chemical weapons and people were running and being killed.
The people here ask, why is no one helping us? Why is no one trying to stop the attacks on us? And in the mountains, the Kurds are still fleeing. Rick Davis, NBC News, London.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad. Salad, salad, salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter, slicer, shredder. Point and shoot right where you want it. To clean, just rinse and wipe. Store anywhere.
Shoot some salad. Salad, salad, salad shooter.
From Presto.
Where can you find beautiful holiday sweaters and blouses in charmeuse and crepe de chine with sequins and beads? These and more are just $24.99. Now, only at Sears.
The Christmas ornaments of Hallmark. Hallmark ornaments aren't ordinary decorations. They're special little presents. For your family, your friends, for yourself. Keepsakes that bring back warm memories of wonderful people and wonderful times. You'll find them only at Hallmark, where there's more to Christmas than ever before.
Heartburn flaring up?
It never seems to stop.
How long have you been taking antacids?
Seems like forever.
Have you told the doctor?
Won't he just tell me to take these?
Not necessarily. Nowadays, doctors can diagnose and treat your heartburn and indigestion.
Now that's worth a visit to the doctor.
If you've been suffering from persistent heartburn, indigestion, or stomach pain, this could be a serious problem. Make an appointment to see your doctor now. Brought to you by Glaxo Pharmaceuticals.
Before you even touch this camera, you're going to want to own it. The incredible 35mm Infinity Super Zoom 300. New from Olympus.
Caffrey toothpaste decaffeinates your smile.
Coffee and tea can stain your smile, like they stain your cup.
Caffrey gets out coffee and tea stains better than the leading toothpaste. Caffrey toothpaste or Minty Gel. Caffrey decaffeinates your smile.
Hedda Nussbaum's story can be read in the scar tissue of her face. It's a story of abuse and degradation, and tragically, this is not an isolated story. In a New York courtroom today, Hedda Nussbaum told more of her story about how the man she lived with beat her for years, how he beat their adopted daughter to death and then smoked cocaine. And she said she was powerless to stop him or to help the child. NBC's Michelle Gillen has more tonight.
She is the woman who could have saved Lisa Steinberg. But Hedda Nussbaum says she could barely save herself from the man she claims enslaved her emotionally and physically.
He got violent with me and he threw me to the floor. My nose was broken, obviously broken, and my ear became a cauliflower ear.
This was Hedda Nussbaum before she met Joel Steinberg. What happened to the former children's book editor?
She was a slave. She was a totally submissive individual and had been drummed into the ground for the preceding 6 years on a daily basis.
Experts say Nussbaum is a classic portrait of the abused woman, giving up control.
Joel made a rule that I could not eat anything unless he first gave me permission, so I would have to ask him.
Yet refusing to tell.
Why did you tell them these stories?
Well, the story about falling down the flight of stairs and about being beaten by men in the street, I told to protect Joel.
Experts say this leads to abuse of other family members.
30 to 40% of families where there is domestic violence, that is one spouse beating up on another spouse, there will also be abuse of the children physically.
Nussbaum says she never considered taking Lisa away from Steinberg, who she says she worshipped.
I couldn't survive without him, and that I felt I would kill myself if I was without him.
Michelle Gillen, NBC News, New York.
5 Cubans who came to this country as Mariel boat people 8 years ago, only to be imprisoned for crimes they committed here, today were sent back to Cuba. Escorted by guards from the Bureau of Prisons, they were put aboard a federal plane for that 90-minute flight to Havana. They're the first Cubans to be deported since a treaty was signed last year with Fidel Castro, but they're not expected to be the last. Immigration officials say they want to deport 2,500 more altogether. The other day, we reported here on Randall Adams, who says he was the wrong man convicted for the murder of a Dallas policeman. He insists he didn't do it, but he has served 12 years in a Texas prison. Today, a Texas judge said he will recommend to an appeals court that Adams be given a new trial.
X-Lax presents a gentle guarantee. A guarantee that X-Lax works gently by 8 a.m. when taken at bedtime or your money back. A promise you can count on. X-Lax, guaranteed complete relief by 8 a.m.
There's only one place you'll find Fieldmaster Wool Blend sport shirts in lots of great-looking plaids. Durable and machine washable. Find these and more for just $13.88. Only at Sears.
Sunday, on the eve of Gorbachev's U.S. visit, we'll talk with top Soviet Party aide Nikolai Shislin and Americans Gene Kirkpatrick and Daniel Moynihan on Meet the Press.
New Mazola Light spread has fewer calories than any leading light. New Mazola Light, the lightest of the lights.
Sometimes minor mouth pain can be major trouble. Maximum Strength Anbesol gives maximum strength relief on contact. So before you can say Tchaikovsky, the pain's gone. Maximum Strength Anbesol. It's major relief.
There's only one place you'll find a sale this big for appliances and electronics, where every microwave, every VCR, TV, and more is 5 to 30% off. Now, only at Sears.
If you have a cold and take Sudafed, there's something you should know. Sir. Contact 12-hour caplet, stop the sneezing and runny nose that Sudafed can't.
Gesundheit.
Until there's a cure, there's Contact.
Assignment America tonight. Winning and losing. What can be won on a football field when a group of young losers decide they can play the game? NBC's Keith Morrison in California with a story that doesn't have a Hollywood ending. This one's about life.
It is an autumn American ritual and a way of life. High school football. The home team in black is a well-equipped, upscale private school. But this is no ordinary playoff game. This story is about the visitors. They are from another world. These are street kids, troublemakers, gang members. Inmates at a place called Camp Kilpatrick, a way station for losers. Bad enough, but not quite old enough to go to jail.
There's some armed robbers, and there's some, just about any kind of crime you'd want.
Henry Vargas and other counselors at Camp Kilpatrick got the idea that their misfits could learn something from football. There was a lot to learn.
They had to teach. They had to teach from day one. How do you put the helmet on? What's this, a jock strap? I mean, they had to start from nothing. It was literally taking a diamond in the rough and cutting it and polishing it and preparing it.
Vargas and his coaches told themselves that winning was not so important.
Play good, play fair, play hard.
What they wanted to teach was sportsmanship, pride, and discipline. At first, the boys weren't so sure they could learn.
I said, no way. There's no way that this is going to be a football team, you know. Maybe a boxing team. We fight each other, you know, but not a football team.
But then this fall, the most amazing thing happened. The Camp Kilpatrick Mustangs, playing small high schools around Los Angeles, started winning.
The team, the last game, was such a cohesive unit. I mean, they were literally as one. They were literally brothers to another.
White is receiving, blue is kicking, and which way we're kicking. Let's go, guys.
And they made the playoffs, these once unruly Mustangs, the chance to play Brentwood High. They were outnumbered by their better-equipped opponents.
Let's go, team!
The star halfback out with an ankle injury. They played without their regular quarterback. There was no bench.
We'll never stop them, Bag. Way to go, Bag.
What was left of the team played both offense and defense. Still, at halftime, the Mustangs were leading 6-0.
You're showing heart, you're pulling together, you're working as a team, you're showing what you're made of.
But something happened in the second half. The team from Camp Kilpatrick began to tire.
Tired, man. Tired, man. I'm tired, man.
But they never cracked.
Uh-oh, my God!
They never stopped trying. They lost the game 15-6.
Nothing to be ashamed of. That was a great game.
You rose to the occasion. Where you belong. Whatever you want to do.
You did as well as you could do. You're a fine young man, and that's what counts.
Used to be, these were tough guys, never cried about anything, until they lost a game and joined the human race. Keith Morrison, NBC News, Los Angeles.
That's Nightly News for this Friday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. Connie Chung will be here tomorrow night. I'll see you again on Monday.
Come home to the shows that'll move you.
Move!
Excite you.
I can see that.
And surprise you.
Look at the Porky Pig.
Come home to Something Is Out There.
That's funny, it's all right.
And Sunny Spoon.
That'd be so special.
And Miami Vice.
That's very good.
Come home to all new action and all out excitement.
Tonight.
Coming up next on The Scene at 6, a troubled health